let's wrap up our conversation talking about personal and possibly political future plans. Where do you see yourself starting January 1st?
I like saving, I like fixing, and this time next year, this time last year, I thought I'd be planning an inaugural. This time next year, I want God and my family and my motorcycles to all be happy with me. And people say, okay, that's all cute and everything, but no, really, where do you see yourself? And you know, when you've spent 20 years in Raleigh, there's a lot of repairing that needs to be done. You know, starting, as I say, with God, family, and motorcycles. And my reason for saying that is that I love fixing, I love saving. So I just look forward to getting back to Winston-Salem and going to Zoe's restaurant on Trent West Drive and Lee Pueblo on Stratford Road and walking up there and getting on my 72 Swindler tour that I used to deliver newspapers on. And I just look forward to getting back to my home and my community. The only community that I had in Raleigh for 20 years was really my peers, the state employees, and you know, the people I exercise with. But I've got a lot larger community back here, and that's what I intend to do.
So how do you view life going forward? I mean, you hear a term, fall of your life, winter of your life. What's left for you to accomplish? What's left that can give you the fulfillment that you seem like you still want to achieve?
Yeah. Feeling like no issue, no topic, no individual gets between me and God. And serving an elected office, especially in my position, and this is what's so bad, I think, about things going forward. We need people who will say no when no needs to be said. Say no when no needs to be said. And for your reader, you know, people don't always care what you know, as long as they know that you care. It's funny. And some of those words are spelled K-N-O-W and some of them are spelled N-O. So I'm really looking forward to the things I've already described to you. I've got a 54 Swing Corvette bicycle I want to fix up, and I got some things that I need to throw away, things that our kids aren't going to have any interest in. And those are the things that I'm most interested in. But people may not like what I say or how I say it, but at least they know that my stomach and my heart and my mind are in the right place.
So I guess I should ask you just directly, do you feel like there's anything politically in your future?
I don't see that right now because of these other things that I want to focus on. Like everybody else, I had an opportunity to run for the United States Senate a few years ago when Richard Burr retired from the Senate. I chose not to do that because I don't think anybody in Washington, D.C. is interested in fixing anything. There's so much money being made on keeping things broken. Now that's cynical, and it's true. Elected officials are making millions of dollars on keeping things broken. And that's not my style. And I don't want to be involved in a vortex where everybody's just making money on keeping things broken. The other thing, and he didn't say it till long after I made that decision, but Joe Manchin said it earlier this year. You can go to the United States Senate and vote no 87% of the time and become a multimillionaire.
You almost have to not want to in order not to.
Right. And I think he was truthful in that statement. All you gotta do is vote 87% of the time, raise hell about a few things, and become a multimillionaire.
They call it performance theater a lot, and especially in the U.S. House.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, you got 435 people there, so how do you stand
Right.
out?
So, being a part of that's not something I have been very interested in Washington D.C.
Legacy. We're always asking about legacy. I would think it is fair to say, outside of maybe Richard Burr, and if I forget somebody, please remind me, of a Winston-Salem politicians had more influence, at least in most people's lifetime, than yourself. Governors tend to, for whatever reason, come from the eastern part of the state, except for Pat McCrory. We had that one, can't remember how many, 2-year or 4-year period, we had both of our U.S. senators from the tribe, Richard Burr and Kay Hagan. But beyond that, there's not really been a Winston-Salem person out front in a prominent state or federal role. Why do you think that is? I mean, is it, and how does that tie into your legacy?
Well, number one, Winston-Salem has suffered because of that. I mean, you just look at our beltways or lack of beltways.
Right.
I mean, if you're a motorcyclist like I am, and some people refer to me as the human GPS, I have a very good sense of direction. You can literally go to Guilford County and get lost because there's so many bypasses.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many highways and so many bypasses. Our northern beltway, it's already been built. Built 12 years ago in Fayetteville.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah.
So
there's so many things that have happened in this city, in this community, that have held us back. I don't know what my legacy is going to be. I do know that at the end of the day, it goes back to these principles that I talked about in an earlier segment, and that is realizing that you're standing on the shoulders of other people, realizing that no individual and no issue should get between you and God, making sure God's happy with you, and that same goes for family and as I said earlier, motorcycles, because I worked in motorcycle shops all my life. In motorcycle sales, I got that one out in Clemens. Honda was Salem, Young Harley Davidson. It wasn't the motorcycles, it was the motorcyclists. It was the people who rode motorcycles who kept me in check when I could have, no pun intended, veered off in the wrong direction during the 60s and the 70s. So, a large degree of credit goes to them, but mainly, and I'm trying to get in touch with the chancellor at Winston-Salem State, I was a garbage collector over here off Indiana Avenue, picking up all the garbage on Shadowlawn Drive, old garbage collecting, big round barrels, no hydraulics. And then I started taking classes at Winston-Salem State and UNCG. And so my legacy, if people will have the patience, the clarity of thought, and things in the right sequence, hopefully will be that no matter where you start in life has no bearing on where you could end up.
So let me ask you this last question, and it's you may give me the same answer. And you mentioned stand on shoulders. What do your shoulders represent? Who's going to stand on your shoulders, and what do they represent?
Well, I'm not sure. People who understand what the root word of these words we've talked about mean. People who understand that the root word of conservative is to conserve. The root word liberal is to liberate, to set economically free. That you got to start out like you're going to hold out. You got to raise your hand and volunteer for the toughest jobs. And you have to acknowledge that rage is inside the word courage.
How do you mean that?
C-O-U-R-A-G-E.
Right, but how do you mean the rage part? How does that fit in?
Because it's not enough to point out there's a problem and to be rageful about it.
Okay.
Somebody eventually has to fix it. And that's where the C-O-U-R comes from. And this is my wife who is obviously a big part of all my public service. I need to mention, I want to mention that. But she explained to me that COUR means from the heart. So it's not enough just to be rageful about something.
Which seems like a lot of our society today.
Eventually somebody has to fix it. And so, there have been a lot of great, public servants, in our community, and still are some public servants. But many of those, in many instances, maybe in a different style that I use, say no when no needs to be said. And, I hope that whoever's standing on my shoulders will remember that.
Sounds like a great way to sum it up. Thank you so much for your time and your service to our state and our community.
Thank you, and thank you for having me, and thank you for giving me my start delivering newspapers for the Winston-Salem Journal and Sentinel.